Hello, all you hardcores. How are you doing? We're joined by Terry. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You all right?
I'm all right. I'm plodding on.
Mate, you've been on a wild one this week, haven't you? Bloody hell.
Been on a what?
You've been on a wild one. What do they call it? Scorched earth.
Scorched. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I get something in my head or I get a bee in my bonnet and I have to let rip down.
Yeah, look at you, man. You're fully branded out, man. Fully corporate today, aren't you?
Pretty what?
Fully corporate today, man. I can see you've got the logos on everything.
Nah, it's just a.
You're like a Formula One driver.
How are
Before
you?
we start, would you like to shout out your sponsors?
Yeah, I ain't got none now. They're all left me.
Hey, come on, man. Gary will stick through you, man, through thick and thin.
He
I'll
loves
take
me,
that,
Gary,
man.
doesn't he? He loves me. I don't really know where to start, Terry, really. But let me just give this film a shout out. Has anybody seen this? Risen.
No, I haven't, but I'm impressed that you still watch DVDs, mate.
I know. Well, I stuck it on last night. The Rise of a True British Champion, Howard Winston story. Shane Richards in it, trying to make out he's Eddie Hill. Eric Morales plays a part in it, just one of the fighters. Jane Couch has got a part in it. Glenn Catley, Richie Woodall. I thought we were all right. I thought we were all right. I've had it
That's it.
years. I just not had time to really get stuck into it. But yeah, so if anybody wants to watch a good boxing film, Risen. So I enjoyed it. Good. Uh, Tony Bellew. He annoyed me yesterday. You know, his talk sport thing that I watched. He annoys me. He's biased now. Does he surely he knows he's doing it, Terry? Come on, what do you think?
What did he say? Like, I haven't listened to Bellew for ages.
Well, he can't stand Eubank. He says he's not for him. Fair enough, and he's all team crusher. But Tony said, and I quote that this is a couple of years ago. All drug cheats should be put in stocks and stoned. That's what he'd like to do with them because they're trying to commit murder. Now that were a few years ago. He said that. In recent times, he's changed his mind because when he were coming out with things like that, it were mainly other fighters, you know, Jarrell Miller and Canelo and all that. And then when Eddie signed Canelo, he went quiet on that one, didn't he? He never said anything about Billy Joe crushing Ben because he personally knows them. But I think his bias now is it's gone to another level, hasn't it? His matchroom bias. I mean, Eddie's coming out saying he more or less said Carl Froch isn't loyal. Then he said, "You want to talk about loyalty? Tony Bellew." Now, I
Well,
think
look,
Eddie's took
you've
it.
been on as many Bellew podcasts as you have Carl Froch podcasts, so
Yeah.
make of that what you will.
Well, look, I think that Tony's bias now. He's that embarrassing now. He's got to be trolling. His bias is that bad in it.
Yo, Russ, it's tricky because there's some stuff that Bellew says that's really good boxing insight. You got to give him his credit. There are bits where when he doesn't have to talk about his mates or his boss, he says really clever things about boxing because he gets it.
Yeah,
And like, mate, I respect a lot of what he says,
I do.
but he's not man enough at the moment to own his hypocrisy. He should say, look, I want all drug chiefs to be hung and drawn and quartered, but now I'm in a tough position because people I know are in that position. I don't know what to do. If he was honest like that, we'd all kind of be like, we get it, Tony, because look, most sex offenders have relatives, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, before the conviction, they probably say they love the person. After, they can't say that. It's tough. I mean, we all live in worlds where we can't be 100% authentic because it leads you to very stupid places. But he doesn't want to own it. That's the annoying thing. If he just stood up and said, "Look, what do you want me to do? I like Conor Ben. You know, I'm gutted that he got caught, but I'm still going to ride with my guy." Fair enough. I mean, it just means that there's certain things we won't listen to you about, but there are other things we will listen to you about. Because I'm okay with that, Russ.
Yeah, I saw. Did you see his interview with Darren Barker? And he said he'd been offered 1.6 million to come back, and but he knows his price, and it's more than that. Did you see that interview?
Yeah, I did, and it's not more than that. Like, it's just not more than that. he's confusing the brand with the product. So the Bellew brand might be well known and stuff. Yeah, I get it. But as a 40-something-year-old fighter, mate, like you weren't a super athlete to begin with. So what are you going to have left now?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I never really had him down as a big ticket seller, Tony, to be honest. They gave him his moment for at Everton for world title, but they pulled ringing to the corner, didn't they, once they realised they weren't going to sell many tickets. They put it in corner at ground, didn't they? That's the first time I've ever seen that. Uh, so
Mate, Barnsley for Callum Simpson.
What?
Barnsley for Callum Simpson.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think that. Oh yeah, is that when they did it before?
Remember they had to just give him like one stand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jamie McDonald, I think, well, that one when he fought at Rovers Ground.
So a lot of people don't sell tickets, and I think there's a wider problem, Russ. Right?
Massive.
My thing is this: I don't count you as a boxing fan if you don't buy tickets, and I don't want to hear people in the comments talking nonsense. I mean this because the lifeblood of boxing is buying and selling tickets, right? That's the lifeblood of it. The pay-per-view stuff, the TV stuff is the icing on the cake. But that bread and butter is buying the tickets. If you're not buying the tickets, you're just having an opinion about something you're not connected to. No, I watch loads of boxing. I know everything on boxing. Yeah. Nearly swore they realized I can't hurt your monetization. Um, Forget these guys, Russ. Like they're not serious. They're what would you call them in your trade? They're tire kickers.
Tire kickers, yeah. Yeah. Oh, people who will come and they say, I've got 2 grand, I'm looking for a car, so I can do that for 1,800. And it's fully tested, we're warranted. I need to think about it. I said, well, what's to think about? You just told me you had 2 bags. Well, I need to get a quote for insurance. Well, ring them now. I see you. Ring them on my phone. You see where I'm coming from? Tire kickers. That's what I got.
Yeah, and all we want with boxing fans is people to be like, if I don't put a couple of quid in here and there, the sport doesn't survive. It doesn't thrive. Yeah, that's it. So I don't mind. Like once you pay your money, your opinion means something because you've got a real feeling like I just paid for that. You have every right to be angry. So fair enough if people do that. But if you're not prepared to do that, don't complain about the state of boxing.
Hmm. Is Alfie Warren's putting shows on down your way?
Good question. He just done one in Gibraltar, so I think he needs a rest. So there's definitely not one this weekend. Alf definitely needs a rest after that one. I messaged him after that. He was telling me he's just knackered. Because remember, he had to do the security for the TKV card, whoever that, Joyce versus Hergovich. Remember, so he came straight from Gibraltar, straight up for that fight week. So yeah, he's knackered at the moment. But yeah, he'll be doing shows down here. I think Alf will be busy. I think people are now realizing that Alfie Warren Box Nation connection is where Frank will put you to see if you're any good or not.
Plus, you got to sell tickets, ain't you, to get in with them boys?
Good, but you know what? We never say this about bands, do we, Russ? We never say to a band, "Oh, you should just have a recording contract." No, when you're a band, you got to do a few gigs, build up some interest. Show you actually have something of value, and that gives you leverage. And then when you go to the record label, you've got leverage to say, "Look, we already make money. We just need you for that added boost," and it gives you more advantage when you're negotiating.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't see Tony Bellew coming back then, Terry?
No, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to see him come back. I don't want to see Hay come back. I just want to see retired guys stay retired, man, because you lose it so quickly and you don't get it back.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I think that. I mean, do you know when you're out of action, your tools are not sharp. I know, I've had quite a bit of abuse for saying that Hughie Fury reminds me of a butter knife trying to cut through a fillet steak. That ain't a dig at him, but his tools have not been sharp, have it, last 4 or 5 years? And if you can't keep your tools sharp, you're off at pace, aren't you? I don't think you ever get that back, do you?
Plus, he's heavier now. Because remember, like up until a certain point, Russ, he had boxed like most of his life,
Yeah.
day in, day out, and he'd been in elite environments. I don't know if he's around elite people anymore. because that helps you as well. Well, when you're around people who are better than you, it brings you on. If you're the best guy in the gym, it's time to worry. So I think there are loads of things that are affecting him. I still don't believe he takes boxing seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if there are stories about him drinking and partying and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. He he looks like someone, I don't want to say that's given up, but has realized that he ain't going to eat to the top table.
I think it's a shame, really. World Championship Junior Gold and that. I do honestly. I hate
Mm,
wasted talent, and I think a lot of it's to do with politics, why he's not been given his flowers. Yeah,
yeah, but he's a guy that lost to Cody Davis in the amateurs. So how good was he really?
he's never been on deck, has he? We've got to give him that.
I don't think he's been in position to be on the deck.
Hmm.
What punches has he taken on?
Well, he's hard to nail, isn't he? I think so.
No, no. What punches? Well, people we consider to be punches in his weight
Povetkin
class.
can whack, can't he? He couldn't get him out there, could he?
I don't
Parker couldn't
know.
get him out
I don't know.
there.
If, well, Vada Povetkin or Rusada Povetkin.
But pardon?
Vada Povetkin
Oh, you
or
mean
Rusada
Povetkin on
Povetkin.
gear? Well, whether Povetkin were on gear or not, he couldn't get him out there, could he? He got Dylan White out there, didn't he?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, but Hughie hasn't been for me. Like he'd have to have been in with those guys like Wilder. Some heavy-handed guys like Joyce, and then we would have seen what he was made of. Even Zhang. Why can't they make Hughie Fury versus Zhilei Zhang?
I don't know. I personally think Bricktop's put blockers on him doing anything, and you know what? People are frightened to put him on the show because they keep giving Derek Chisora chances. He's had 13 losses. Hughie's only had three, so how can that be fair?
Or Derek's delivered for the fans?
Well, you reckon, yeah?
Yeah, look, you can think of Derek fights where you're like, mate, wow. Just off the top of the head, you can think of Takam. You can think of the Dillian White fights. You can think of what he did to Joe Joyce. The names come up, and I know people come up with, oh, when he fought Caballero, it was terrible. Yeah, but Derek entertains more often than he doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. We'll give him that. We'll give him that. Moses Itauma. Uh, he's fighting an old guy next, isn't he? Pushing 40. Uh,
What's wrong with that, though?
yeah, I was about to come to that. That he's learning his craft. They're going to put him in with a guy who's going to try and old man him now, aren't they? So as opposed to bringing him on, aren't they? They're not rushing him, are they? Which is a good thing. He's not going to beat Mike Tyson's record now, though, is he?
No, but I'm okay with that because
Oh, yeah.
remember, Moses never had a senior bout as an amateur. So he went from boxing those world juniors to sparring a few people to then turning pro. So he's getting used to getting hit by grown men.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know people say, "Oh, boxing's boxing." It really isn't. Like, there's a lot you've got to get used to psychologically. I always say the goal of boxing is to make as much of what happens in and out the ring autonomous. Like you don't even think about it; it just happens without your brain having to engage. But that takes a long time to get to.
Yeah.
That's why if you see guys like Joshua now, Joshua can breeze through a fight week. He doesn't get anything wrong on a fight.
Mm.
Like he won't say anything inflammatory, controversial, doesn't get sucked into anything. Whereas in his earlier days, he might have done. Now he doesn't because he's been through it so many times. It's just automatic now. Itauma's not there yet. So putting him in a world title fight will expose him to stresses he doesn't need. And I know people are like, oh, why is he fighting an old man? He can do that for the next 2 years, as far as I'm concerned, because his body's hardening up now. It's maturing. So a lot of change is happening internally, you know. So you don't want to put him in, before he's ready for that. There's loads of stuff. I just think he's in a good place right now. The only problem I have is he's not doing this on the small hall scene.
Do you feel that they don't want to do an Anthony Joshua with him where he got a world title too early, which were a gift, and then he were having to learn on job? Do you think they're going to learn from
Yeah,
Joshua's mistakes?
exactly. So the advantage I think Moses has is that he's boxed since he was a kid. So he's got more learning miles than Joshua had, if that makes sense, Russ. And that's always a good thing. But there's still that kind of boxing maturity side that he's got to work on. And I wouldn't rush him. There's no rush at all because if you think about it, if you put him in the mix now, there's just a lot of traffic. You still got Usyk around, you still got Joshua around, you still got Dubois around, and whether he beats them or not, I think he probably beat a few of them. You're still going to take a lot of punishment in doing so. Is this the time to be taking that kind of punishment? No,
Can you see him putting him in with Joe Joyce, Terry, to as Joe's like final roll of the dice?
no,
No.
no, no, because Joe will still take something out of him, and you don't want to take anything out of him. I think they would have learned from Daniel Dubois, right? You can look the part to a certain extent, but there's a mental resilience you need, and you don't get that without doing the reps.
They're saying that, well, sorry, he's come out and said that, can you beat, like Simon Jordan asked him, could you beat Usyk? And he said, at the moment, no. So he's an honest kid, isn't
Yeah, yeah, he knows. Like, remember, for Usyk, that would just be another fight. For Itauma, that would be the biggest thing that's happened in his life.
he? Yeah.
So they're dealing with two completely different mental profiles there.
Do you know when Usyk fought Dubois, Terry? Right.
Mm.
Do you think Dubois just ran out of ideas and he had like a brainstorm moment kind of thing? Do you think that's what happened?
No, I think he was just in there with a guy that he couldn't figure out.
Because I get a lot of people, as I sent you that thing, a lot of people email me and leave comments, and a lot of them seem to hammer Usyk and say he's been lucky and blah de blah, and he's not that good. What do you think?
I used to be like that, but I'm looking at how he's dealing with people, and I'm like, no, this guy's pretty good. He's the guy in this era that's got that old school feel to him,
Yeah.
where he's tough, he's super fit, he's strong enough that you can't bully him, and he's got that ridiculous work rate, and that's what he drowns people with, is that work rate.
Do you remember when he fought Tony Bellew? Right. And when he fought Tony Bellew, I don't know. I mean, I disagree with Carl Froch on this. Carl Froch had him, Tony Bellew, winning. And up until the stoppage. But I don't. He never really looked to me like he was in any trouble in that fight up to him stopping Bellew. Did he? Yeah.
I thought he was comfortable.
I thought he just breezed through it, and I thought Bellew were really, really out of his depth. That's what I thought. He looked to me like he was scared. To me, I don't know. And I think he got mesmerised, and eventually Usyk, he just went through gears. I think he could have took him out any time he wanted, Usyk. Yeah.
Yeah, when I watch Usyk, he's the kind of guy that if you're a conventionally trained boxer, you're always going to struggle with him because he can read it. Like, it's just predictable to him. He's struggled against guys who aren't predictable. If you ever watch like the fights, I'm not going to say fights that he lost, fights that he struggled in.
Mm.
Like against Chisora, he struggled, and people go, "Oh, he was just trying to get the rounds," and he wasn't. He struggled because Derek doesn't throw shots from predictable positions. So you may think that you're out of position to get hit by Derek, and then Derek will just switch to southpaw and just boom a right hook, and you're like, "Oh, what the hell's he doing?"
Do you think Derek did better than Tony Bellew against Usyk, Terry?
Yeah, comfortably.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at
Like
Tony Bellew. Sorry, go on.
he had Usyk going, "What the hell's going on here?" I know people, like I said, people say, "Oh, he was just playing with Derek." He wasn't. There was situations there where you could see Usyk didn't want to get hit with those shots, and so he was like, "How do I tame this guy?" Whereas with Bellew, I think he was just like, "Oh, this is all right. I can see these shots coming. I'll get him down the stretch."
Derek's very unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do next in ring, do you?
No, no. And sometimes I think as a boxer, that's the best thing you can do. Too many coaches try and make you conventional when actually you're probably better off not being conventional.
Hmm. When you look at Tony Bellew's CV, who would you say is his best win, Terry? Who?
Oh my God. Nathan
They
Cleverly.
keep people keep talking to him like he's this expert, and DAZN introduced him as a legend, legendary fighter and stuff. But I'm looking at his CV this morning. He got Nathan Cleverly on there, David A a couple of times, and the guy who fought for the vacant WBC. I forgot his name now.
Makabu.
Macabo. I think probably Macabo was probably his best win on paper. Yeah.
Oh, what did Badu Jack do to Makabu?
Pardon?
What did Badu Jack do to Makabu?
Yeah, I know, but David A, I can't really give him them wins because he were held together with masking tape, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Nathan
So
Cleverly, the one with a stinker on it, that at cruiserweight, dragged him up from light heavy to cruiser. Uh, I'm just trying to figure. He didn't go in that tournament, the cruiserweight tournament. He waited it out for the Usyk pay-per-view. I mean, he's had pay-per-views, only 4 pay-per-views. Tony Bellew, he had more pay-per-views than Fratch. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you? Really? Because
let's be
he's
honest,
loyal.
right?
Because he's loyal, I guess, to Eddie. Do you think?
No, Bellew became famous. I don't care. I'll have this argument with anyone when he wore the Everton tracksuit and kicked off with Nathan Cleverly at that presser.
Yeah,
That
nobody
is what
heard of him
Bellew's
till then,
famous
had
for.
they?
Hmm?
Nobody knew who he was till then.
No, but that's what got him the Creed thing as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what the Stallone saw that, didn't he, on TV and give him a role, didn't he?
Yeah. So that's what made Tony Bellew, right? No one really knows what his career was before that, right? So I think credit to him because he's been able to finesse a career of, you know what I mean, being scared like to death in that Adonis Stevenson fight. And he's managed to rebuild himself into a career and take care of himself. So he's definitely a hustler, that's for sure.
Well, when I seen him other day talking in yet another Tony Bellew podcast interview thing, you were telling the interviewer how to deal with southpaws, but now look at Adonis Stevenson and Usyk, both put him on button moon. So how is he a southpaw expert? You know,
Yeah,
he's
those are
not,
two
is
pretty good southpaws. So
he? Well, Frotch always used to say to me, with southpaws, you just got to jump on them. We can't let them get into a rhythm because everything's off skew, isn't it? And you agreed with me when we spoke about that before, didn't you?
yeah, but I refuse to agree with Carl until he puts you on his show.
Yeah, I agree. Robin Reed, he did well against Carl Zaggy. He said he was eating that right hand all night, didn't he? So
Yeah,
everybody,
look, some people get it. Like it took me ages to figure out southpaws. That is still hard actually because it's just counterintuitive.
Tarver beat Clinton. He was southpaw, wasn't he? Tarver.
But Tarvel's good.
Yeah.
Like,
On his day, yeah.
look, I love Clinton to bits, and I love the fact that he was a world champion for 3 years. But there was all, and I don't think Clinton would admit this. There was a level above him, and I think Jones was in that level. I think Tarv was at that level where they were just like that notch above.
Clinton got them at the peaks, though, didn't he? Roy Jones and Tarver, didn't he? Really?
Yeah, but he's of their generation as well, so he's of they're about the same age.
I mean that light heavyweight era, that where they had like a merry-go-round. That I don't think it gets as much credit as it would nowadays. You know, then you think because
All
social
hard
media.
men. They were all hard, dangerous men.
Glenn Johnson and him knocked lumps out of each other for 36 rounds up close, didn't they?
Mate, that's like that era where you had um, Eddie Mustafa, Matthew Saad Muhammad, Dwight Muhammad Kawi, Yaki Lopez, all those sorts of guys. You just had hard men as light heavyweights in that post Bob Foster era, just real hard men
Yeah.
that just went to battle. And that's what those guys gave us in the 2000s.
Do you think that Ben Whittaker's of that ilk?
We're going to find out.
Mm. He's got the skills, obviously, hasn't he? But has he got the mental strength?
Will he want to dog it out with Liam Cameron? That's the real question.
We're going to see, aren't we? It's a pity
Yeah.
he can't do middleweight, isn't it, really?
Yeah, blame GB for that. GB wanted Jordan Reynolds in at middleweight, 75 kilos. So they moved Ben up to light heavyweight, and Jordan never fulfilled his potential, and you couldn't get Ben down to 75 again. So yeah, that was GB thinking they were cleverer than they were.
What do you make of all this contract stuff, Terry, with Ben Whittaker?
Um, let's look at it this way. If you're going to change a contract, you got to pass someone some dough, right? So maybe it's a good way for Liam to get a little extra bonus on top of what he's getting paid.
Mm.
You say, look, Liam, right? I know we said 12, but they'll pay 30 grand to get it down to 10. We'll make sure you get all of that. And Liam's probably going to, yeah, all right then.
Is it 10 rounds now?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
But it shouldn't really matter, should it? It's only 6 minutes. If Liam's going to get him out there, he'll get him out there after round 8, won't he?
Yeah, but also, I think for me, the important thing is they'll have to, whichever way this fight goes, you got to keep money in Liam because there's value in Liam. If Liam were to lose to Ben, you still want to see Liam jump in with guys like Dan Aziz, etc. Like there's still mileage in Liam Cameron if you manage this properly. I'd like to feel there's mileage in Ben, but Ben will have to go through a bit of a rebuild and then come again. But I think, yeah, I'd like to see both guys fulfill their potential.
Mm. Do you feel for Chris with all this? After having him from age of 9, all that time you put into him?
Um, I feel for Chris because obviously I like Chris and I respect him a lot. But boxing is boxing, mate. It's crazy. Um, you get fighters, you lose fighters, like that, and a lot of times these decisions are made for the wrong reasons because people assume like there'll be people listening to this who are like, yeah, you can just go and change trainers and get these really good results, and they don't realize that like there's a lot of chemistry required for a trainer and fighter to gel. There are a lot of times you can have good fighters together and it's not great. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just you don't feel right in there. You don't feel comfortable. You're not giving your best. I was messaging Craig Richards the other day, and I was just asking how training was going, and he was like, "Mate, absolutely love training. I didn't realize how much I loved training at this gym. Like he loves training with the Sims. As simple as that. Like it's what makes sense to him. And when he went over to Shane, it wasn't making sense to him, so he had to step away.
Yeah.
But most boxing fans would have told you that's the perfect move, and you're like, well, careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Okay. Usyk and Dubois. They're saying they keep going on about the WBO, how they're going to strip Usyk or they're giving him extra time and all that. What's this here with Usyk and Dubois? Is it going to happen or what? What is everybody just parked up, Terry, at the moment? Are all the belts parked?
You and I go through the same undisputed conversation, don't we, Russ? But I tell you, I've been against it for a long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just the way of harvesting the belts and controlling them. I'd just rather someone just scattered the belts. If I was Usyk, I'd just go, why do I even need to keep these belts? I'll just scatter them and go, right, I'll fight anyone. I'm the man in the division. I don't need these belts. I am the man. Fight me if you want to be the man.
Hmm. Yeah, it's quite messy, isn't it, really? The Usyk situation and Dubois. And in the Dubois situation, it's like I'm not saying Dubois serving a silent ban, but I'm starting to wonder if what's why there's no movement for him, you know?
He fought in September, though.
Yeah, I know that. We're now in April, so we're 7 months down the line, and he had a fight.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's not lined up, is
But
there either?
we weren't like this when Joshua was fighting once a year, were we?
Well, no, I suppose we weren't. No, no. So we have to get benefit of doubt. But with
Yeah.
that pull
If
out,
we get to December and he hasn't fought, or even if we get to October and he hasn't fought, then we've got to start asking questions.
yeah, a bit like the Lee Wood situation, Terry. That would have been smelly, wasn't it? Do you think?
When's the last time he fought? Jesus.
I don't know. You have to have a look on my box. Like I know it's quite a while ago, isn't it? Let's have a little look.
It feels like 2023.
I don't think no, it in 2023. I know it's. I think it might be about 16, 17 months. Let's have a look. It's spelt like a girl's name, isn't it? No, it's not like Lee Frotch, LEE. It's the other one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Lee Wood. Box rec. Sound like some dummy, don't I?
Yeah, tensions building,
Janet and
Russ.
John but one.
Yeah,
Leewood box rec. Let's have a look. Leewood last fought in October 23.
yeah, I told you.
So Lee Wood's 16-month out the ring, 17-month out the ring when he fights Antonis Kakese next month for IBO World Super Featherweight title. But
That's crazy. At his age as well, that's crazy.
yeah, it's a bit madness, isn't it? At his age as well, because he's knocking. Let's have a look how old he is.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah, yeah, he's it's not good, is it? Not good at all. I
And
just
has anyone explained what happened?
anyone what?
Has anyone explained what happened? Why has he been on
Nobody's
the
come out
bench
and
so
said
long?
a word, have they? And do you know why? If they've all got these contracts in place where nobody can speak or they get sued, whatever. What's the name for them? What do they call them?
Well, confidentiality agreements.
Confidentiality agreements. If they've got stuff like that, nobody can talk anyway, can they? So we're never going to get to the bottom of it. We can only assume, can't we? But
But
I
if it's a
don't.
failed test, it has to be recorded somewhere, right? Because they'd had to have gone before a panel,
Hmm. Okay.
unless you just plead guilty and go, yeah, I'm guilty. But that has to be recorded somewhere.
You want to go on to part two, Terry?
Sure.
Cheers, mate. I'll see you on part
All right.
two. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Please join us on part two. But let me know what you think about part one in the comment section. All right? Oh, peace out.